you actually do not miss this guy. What you miss is just the memories that you guys shared and the good times he made you feel. You don't understand what I'm saying? Oh, he has changed. Okay, no problem. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. You need help, you know where to find me again. I know you will need help, but don't worry, I wish you the best. May God be with you. Hey guys, so this is what I deal with on a regular basis. I have people coming to my DMs talking about relationships, different experiences, trauma, addictions. But a lot of times I have people who come into my DMs because they have relationship issues. They don't know how to move on from an abusive ex. They don't know how to let go of that relationship. And today I'm going to be dedicating this episode to anyone, male or female, who has gone through a very bad relationship. You guys had to break up and you're tempted to go back to that relationship because you just really can't find yourself outside of that relationship. There is such an attachment to that person and you don't know how to find and rediscover yourself and be who you are as a person, as a whole person, without the other partner or the ex in the picture. Stay tuned with me for the next 15-20 minutes and I promise you this will be the episode that you've been looking for. Cheers. Hello guys, my name is Victor Akan and I want to welcome you to my Breath of Hope podcast. And in here, I'm making you a promise that this will be a place where you're able to heal from unresolved trauma. So be it relationship trauma, be it trauma that comes from family dysfunctionality, depression, suicidal thoughts, you just name it, maybe certain things like sexual assault and all of those things. I am going to be taking a big focus to ensuring that anyone who suffers from any kind of trauma finds their healing. And today, we are going to be focused on people who went through a series of bad relationships or just came out from a bad relationship where you were being physically assaulted, where you were being emotionally taunted, where your partner always belittled your effort, everything, all your sacrifices. I'm going to be focusing on people who fall into this category. Now, you may have broken up from this person, you may not have broken up from this person, but this is going to help you a whole lot. Today, we're going to be talking about people who have left their past relationship, but they still miss this person. And the question begs, how can I miss this person after he did so many bad things, or after she did so many bad things to me? How can I possibly still miss this person? Like, am I going bananas? Like, my friends think I am crazy for missing this person. But I can't explain how I feel. Now, if this is you, then this episode was definitely made for you. And I will not just be telling you about the bad, why you miss the person. I'll be giving you practical solutions on how to move forward. Now, number one, attachment and addiction. And I'm going to use, the illustration from normal addictions. Think about it this way. It's crazy to think that if you're a friend or an observer from somebody who is going through bad relationships, all of those things, and the person just came out from that relationship, the person is still missing that person. It's crazy to know that person is going bananas. Like, what's wrong with you? But when you think about it from the angle of addiction, you'd realize that it makes total sense. Because think about it this way. How do you explain somebody who is going through gambling addiction, is in millions of naira in terms of debt, has not paid maybe his child's school fees, and he's still going to Baba Ijebu to go and play the next one, hoping for a win? Addiction always deals with attachment. So when you're heavily addicted to something, you don't think about the consequences. You're chasing the next high, you're chasing the next win. Now, in the same way, when somebody has broken your heart, dealt with you, you walk out of the relationship, the person left you, the practical, logical step is to move on. But human beings are not primarily logical. We are primarily emotional. Now, this means that a human being searches for fulfillment. Now, fulfillment is an emotional feeling. That is the driving force in life. That's why men, go out to go and make money. Men go out to go and hustle. Men are, and in their search, in their pursuit to hustle and make it, they have to be logical. They have to, know how to, solve problems. But what is the driving force behind men trying to hustle, trying to make it, trying to make money that eventually makes them logical? Because you notice that little boys, little children are more emotional, but as you get older, you become more logical. One of the things that, is primarily responsible for that is the fact that in the need for a boy, a man in the making to want to feel like he's worth something. Society is telling him that, money is the way to be worth something. In the need for him to be able to pursue that money, to get the attention of, women, to get the respect from family, from society, that need is an emotional need. Now, in the same way, a person who is struggling to move on from an ex, is just somebody who has an emotional attachment. And so because we are primarily emotional beings, she would be focused on, certain things that built that attachment. So for instance, there are certain times when this person was there for you. There are certain times when maybe the person made you feel some kind of way good. The person made you feel some kind of way. And this way this person made you feel, it's a beautiful kind of feeling, in the sense that the person went deep into your soul and touched your soul. So they were a very beautiful aspect of the relationship. So the fact that the person was hitting you, the person was gaslighting you, cheating on you, emotionally traumatizing you, doesn't mean that there were not good times in the relationship. And because of that, your brain, your mind will primarily go back to the good days. Why? Because your brain is focused on, your brain hates distress. So your brain will focus on the good times. Same thing with like an addiction. Now, that's one reason. The second reason is this: the sacrifices that you spent. Now, I'm going to give a practical example. Let's assume that you're a woman and before the guy wifed you, the guy didn't even wife you, right? But before the guy wifed you, you went to his house, you cook for him, you cook like 5 different kinds of soups for him, cook different variations of stew for him, put it in his freezer. You wash his clothes. He has washing machine. Say, no, I want to feel like a proper wife material. You use your hand and wash it. You did all of those things for him in the hope that the person would eventually marry you because you love this person. And the person now jilted you, isn't interested. The person maltreated you, jilted you. What? You don't really miss the person. You hate the fact that you feel like a fool. And you don't just want your sacrifices to be wasted. I'm going to give a very practical example that is outside the concept of relationships. Now, you went to go and do one Ponzi scheme. They told you bring 100,000 naira. You're bringing 100,000 naira, okay? You've invested so much into that Ponzi scheme that even when everything in your brain is telling that this is obviously a scam, you've seen all of the patterns, you don't know how to let go. Why? Because letting go would mean that all the efforts that you've put into it has gone down the drain. And so we don't like our investments, our sacrifices to be all for nothing. We want there to be a reason for everything that we've done. We want to be able to see the reward for everything that we invest in. And so because you put in so much sacrifice, you're a man, you spent so much money on that girl. You bought her iPhone 17, you did all sorts for her. When she leaves you, you feel like you're a fool. And so even when it's not advisable for you to take her back, if she comes back, you still find yourself taking her back. Which is why you see, a lot of videos online where this girl breaks up with the guy, or she cheats on the guy is paying, ends the relationship, and then he's trying to collect the car he bought for her, the phone he bought for her, everything. Why? Because he feels like, I sacrificed too much to end up looking like a fool. So how do I recover it back? But in the aspect of women, it's hard for them to recover it back because you cannot undo a person sleeping with you. Do you get what I'm saying? But for men, it's relatively easier. So even though I don't agree with that idea of collecting back the gift you bought for somebody because the relationship didn't end well, I can understand where it's coming from. All right? So you have that, sacrifices. Okay? Now the third one is this: public shame. Public shame. Now, you would notice that a lot of people, you'll hear this thing a lot among some people, that don't post that guy until you've married him. Don't post that lady until you. Why? Because if it doesn't work out, the perception that people will laugh at you, right? I know this, lady where, she was dating this guy for some years, about 3-5 years. And, she would go to his house, meet with his family, cook for him, do all sorts for him. Everybody already knew her as that girl who was dating that guy. That was her first identity. She would post him, do all sorts for him. Now, of course, I don't need to tell you how that thing ended. But the fact is that people had already started calling her Mrs. This, Mrs. That. So, when does she now want to now start correcting people that no, we didn't now all of those plenty work. And so sometimes when you're in that position and that person has jilted you, it's very painful. It's very stressful for you to convince anyone that, me and this person no dey again. Why? Number one, how many people do you want to tell? Number two, after you've told them, the distress from having to anticipate their reaction, that is after everything you've done for the person. So you found your identity so much in this person that it's so hard to disassociate yourself from this person because of public shame. What will people say? So you don't necessarily miss the person sometimes, you just miss how far you went with him in terms of public perception. Now, number 4, the hope loop. Now, what is the hope loop? The hope loop is this. It's like gambling again. Maybe I like to use gambling a lot because I gambled a lot. But gambling. Now, in gambling, no matter how many times you lose, the question that keeps popping up is, if I stop now, what if the next one works? And so it can be likened to the same thing. It's an outflow from the attachment/addiction, reason. In the sense that you want to go back in the hope that this person will change. Why again? Because there are too many things. You've put in so much sacrifices. You see how all the reasons are tying back to the hope loop. So everything, the sacrifices you've put in, the fact that you're attached to this person, kind of addicted to the person, will point you to the aspect of what if this person can change, and all of those things. Everything will point you towards you being hopeful, essentially. And so if I can just give one more try, maybe my sacrifices will not be in vain. Maybe those good times can finally be crystallized. Maybe we can idolize some of these things and they get to last for as long as we live. But that's not always the case. In fact, a lot of times when you're dealing with people suffering from addiction or people who are not thinking coherently, you'd realize that a lot of times the hope loop is a false dilemma, in the sense that it almost never reaches fruition. In fact, if it does, it has to be considered a miracle. Now, the next reason why you can't move on, soul tie. Now, what is soul tie? Soul tie just simply means that you guys have shared some, a lot of things that expose your vulnerability. So, in order for you to bond with a person, then there must be vulnerable moments. Which is why, for a person who is scared of losing, loved ones, I'm digressing a bit, but for a person who's scared of losing loved ones, one common trait you notice with them is that they find it hard to attach to people. They find it hard to be vulnerable to people. Why? Because they are scared of hurt. So you realize that vulnerability is key to attachment. Now, in the context of relationship, there are some things that you just have to be vulnerable about for you to bond with the person, hence soul tie. But there are some things that, is just not wise. Why? Because if this thing just falters, you end up being hurt. Now, in the area of sex, for instance, not even coming from a religious perspective or anything, it's just wiser to have a soul tie to somebody that you're married to. Why? Because in the different types of soul ties that you have, studies has discovered that one of the deepest soul ties you have with a person is that you slept with that person, right? It's deeper than just a physical activity, which is why sexual abuse a lot of time really traumatizes people. Why? Because somebody is trying to soul tie with you against your will, so it fragments your soul. And so sometimes people have gone that far, and when the relationship ends, it's like me pulling your left hand away from your body. When I pull it out of your body, there is going to be a lot of hurt. Why? Because this hand has now been tied to your body. So sometimes that's just a natural reaction. And so sometimes if I lose this part of my hand, I will naturally want to, I will naturally crave for that part of my body. Why? Because that part of my body completes me. Without that part of my body, I don't feel complete. Which is what soul tie is at the end of the day. That when I'm tearing, that person out of your life, I'm tearing a part of you. And so you would naturally crave for the person. Now, which leads me to also say that sometimes in relationships, we attach ourselves to people a lot. There's a way you'll be so deep in your relationship that, you now feel like you're a part of this person. You've built your identity around this person. And if you have been following this, Breath of Hope podcast for a while, you realize that I like to anchor a lot of my messages on 3 pillars. Number 1, that every human being has 3 vital needs. Number 1, the need to survive. Number 2, the need to have an identity, to feel like you're worth something, to feel like you're a part of something. Number 3, the need to want to find fulfillment in life. The need to want to feel like every day I'm waking up, I'm not just doing monotonic activities. I'm actually living my life towards the direction of achieving something, hence fulfillment. And so you've built your identity so much around this person, such that when this person eventually walks out of your life, you feel like you're nobody without that person. Why? Because that person took up a vital space in your life, took up a vital pillar in your life. He was such a rock, or she was such a rock, that you defined yourself by. And so naturally you will feel empty, and with that emptiness comes the feeling of missing them. I'm not just here to tell you what to do. I'm not just here to tell you the signs, the signals, why you miss the person. I'm also here to give you practical solutions. So how do you ensure that while you miss this person, you don't go back to that relationship? Why? Because that relationship was just very toxic for you. How do you ensure that while you miss this person, you can minimize the way you miss them, such that it almost feels like you don't miss them anymore? Number 1, just have a great community. A community that supports you. Now, what does that mean? That simply means that you should have good friends, family members, loved ones that you can talk to about this relationship. So there is a saying that says that when you are not thinking well for yourself, have a thinking head for you. Now, this just simply means that in the aspect of love, relationship, you basically can't think right a lot of times, but you need a right thinking person to think right for you. You need somebody that will be there to tell you, don't worry, this is just how you feel. Your feelings are not invalid. However, they are not appropriate right now for you. They are not safe right now for you. So, for instance, you want to call the person, call your friend instead. Tell your friend, that's how they feel. Your friend will not tell you, I understand. I get where you're coming from, but don't forget what this person did to you. Don't forget what that person did to you, because you are remembering the good times. Your brain is suppressing the bad times, but your friend has to be there to remind you. In fact, sometimes what I usually advise is write a list of good things the person has done. Write a list of all the bad times the person has hurt you. In fact, write a list of all the bad times the person has hurt you. Not even the good times, just the bad times. And go through it one by one. And then ask yourself, is this relationship worth going back to? Most times, your answer would always be no. Most times. So that would help you to remove you from the emotional bias and make you think objectively. Now, second way to let go and not miss them: cut all communication triggers. A lady, reached out to me sometimes last year, and she said, that this guy broke up with her, left her for another, lady, and she just found herself stalking that lady and all of those things, right? And before you knew it, she started comparing herself to the lady. So this lady has this, I don't have this. She has this backyard, I don't have this back. All of those comparisons. And it started even affecting her own self-confidence. Why? Because her focus determined her result. She focused so much on that lady that she started to see herself in an inferior sense. And so I had to make her cut off, unfollow, and not just unfollow, block the lady, block the guy. Anything that concerns the guy, block him. The key is to block every trigger that triggers your memory about this person, especially the good things. So for instance, that phone he bought you might need to just sell that phone and get a new one. The teddy bear he got you, every single gift he got you might need to just let go of all of those gifts. And that is if you're really struggling to not think about that person. You must take away every memory trigger that takes your mind to that person, because as long as your mind keeps triggering you, then that person has full control, even though the relationship has ended. Number 3, find yourself again. And this is for people who build so much of their lives around the relationships and suddenly feel like they have no identity, they are empty, their life has no meaning. You need to ask yourself, who am I without this relationship? Who is Victor Akan without this lady? Who is Ada Ngozi or Ada Anieche without this man? You need to ask yourself those questions. Who am I without this person? And you must have an answer. See, I always recommend building your identity around Jesus Christ. There is something about the gospel that makes you feel whole and alive, knowing that God came in flesh to die for me. And so a lot of times when the feelings of emptiness wants to begin to fill your mind and all of those things, knowing that you have such an anchor, such as Jesus Christ, the man who came to die for you, the God in flesh who came as man to die for you, knowing that makes you feel so special, gives you a sense of identity. There is nothing like understanding new creation reality such that Jesus Christ died, so that I am now accepted in the sight of God. There is nothing such as that makes a person feel so whole, feel so secure. And so a lot of times you just need to find your identity, and the best place I recommend is in Christ Jesus. And so if you need someone who can help you walk through this step, I'm always here for you. Now, another thing that you can do is you need to learn to replace that activity, because just like in the same way, you replaced, the activity of, you replaced your identity, with the identity of finding, yourself in Christ. There are also the other things you need to do to take your mind away from this person. Get busy, go to work, and not just any work, but a work that makes you feel alive. It doesn't have to be work. It can be the gym. It can be you finding the right community, you getting into church activities. It can be a whole lot of things. You just have to find something that works for you. But finding something that gives your life meaning would help in a long way. Now, one very important thing that we've lost in this generation and we don't like to talk about is forgiveness. And I always put it this way. When a person hurts you, forgiveness is finally letting go of the person's ability to control you. Have you ever watched all of these movies where somebody is clearly pained about something? And so when bullies are trying to get through to the person, oh, your father did this, oh, your mother is that word. That person is always triggered to want to fight. Why? Because that person hasn't let go of that past. That past still haunts him. See, when a past haunts you, it's easy for anybody to use that past to manipulate you. When a person has hurt you, that person has full control over you. So forgiveness isn't about letting the person go. It's about freeing yourself. You're like a bird in a cage who cannot fly away because you chose to hold this person in your heart. So a huge part of self-love, which we preach about in this generation, is forgiveness. Because forgiveness sets you free. And with all of these tips, you will still need practical help, mentorship, coaching on how to move on. I'm always here for you. I'm going to see you next week because you're going to subscribe right now. Also, share, like. We need good content out there. We have a lot of stupid content out there. No, I don't mean to demean anybody's contents, but the only matter is that a lot of bad contents are out there, making the waves. Let's make good contents like what we do in Breath of Hope make the wave. So please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next week, Friday. Bye.